Okay, I didn't realize that pressing F9 would also stop my video from recording, so my apologies for the break in the video. I was saying to open up our actions window, but you know what? Before we do that, let's do one other thing. We need to name Link. We need to give him an instance name. Now, Link is an instance of an object in my library called mcLinkAll. And this is an instance of that. I can drag over as many of these as I want, and each of these would be a separate instance. We're not going to have that many. So we're just going to have this one guy, and I need to give him an instance name so that when I refer to him, for example, if I want to tell the computer to make him move up or down, I need to give him a name that we can refer to in our action script. So I'm going to go up here to Properties, and with Link selected, I'm going to give him an instance name of Link MC. Again, I'm using humpbacks, which means the second word will be capitalized. In this case, the M is capitalized. Now, once we're done that, we're going to go ahead and go to my Actions layer, select it, and go up and open up our Actions window. You can press F9 to pull it up. I'm not going to do that. So here, I'm going to go ahead and tell the computer, hey computer, stop making Link spin around like crazy. I want him to stay on that first frame, which we called Link facing front. So to start off, I'm going to type in underscore root dot go to, underscore root dot link mc dot go to and stop, open parentheses, quotation mark, link facing, a link facing front. Quotation mark, close parentheses, semicolon. Let's explain this. Underscore root just tells the computer to look for Link, or whatever I'm about to say, look for it on the stage. For the way we're doing it right now, you don't need to put this in, but I do want you to get in the habit of doing this because it's going to come in handy later on. So it doesn't hurt to type in underscore root, but it would have worked without this in this instance. Then I put dot link MC. That tells it to look in the stage for a movie clip called link MC, an instance called link MC. And for link MC, it's going to go to and stop. So it's going to go inside of link MC and go to and stop a frame called link facing front. Notice that I put this in quotation marks, and this refers back to the frame we labeled. So if I close this actions window and run it now, if I did it correctly, Link should be facing the front. He's also continuously walking, and that's okay. We're going to fix that later. Link cannot walk left, right, up, or down. I'm pressing the keys, but he's not moving because we haven't programmed Flash to do that yet. So that's going to be our next step. We're going to go ahead and go down to our actions once more. I'm going to go up to Window and pull up my actions. And we're going to go ahead and add some more code. The first thing is we're going to create a variable. A variable is something that can be changed. So I can make a number variable where the value of that variable is number. So let's say, for example, I create a variable called, Mario, or I create a variable called Aaron or door. I could call it anything I would like. And if I create a variable, I just type in var space and the variable name first. The variable name I'm going to create is going to be called speed. This variable is going to be a number. So I type in colon number. And then I'm going to give it a value of 10, semicolon. Now you can have different variables. I can have a variable which is a number. I can have a variable which is a string, which we'll get into in a little while. I can create a variable which is a Boolean, a true or false. So those are kind of the basics. And in this case, we're going to use a number. So far, if I run it again, nothing happens. All I've told the computer is, hey computer, have Link facing the front and create a variable in your memory called speed and assign it a value of 10. So we haven't told it what to do with this variable called speed. So let's do that. We're going to create something called an onEnterFrame function. To create an onEnterFrame function, I'm just going to type in onEnterFrame equals function, open close parentheses, open a curly bracket, and we're going to go ahead and skip a line and close a curly bracket. E and F are capitalized, so it's humpbacked for sure. And what we're telling the computer is when you enter the frame, which is frame 1 here, do this function, and we're going to have it do everything in this between these curly brackets here, and it's going to do these things within the curly brackets 20 times a second because that was our frame rate. So whatever we type in here is going to happen 20 times a second. If I say link, for example, MC dot underscore y, so that means link on the y-axis plus equals speed, it means add speed to link's y-axis location. As soon as I play my movie, it's going to add 10 to link's current y-axis location each time it enters the frame at 20 frames per second. So link is going to move down 10 pixels without me having to do anything. Well, that's useless. We don't want link to do that. But it's just an example of how the onEnterFrame function works. What we are going to do is create something called a conditional. A conditional is an if statement. If Johnny cleans his room, then Johnny will get a prize. In our case, we want to say if the down arrow key is pressed, link should move down at the rate of speed. How do we do that? Well, the first thing we're going to type in here between the curly brackets is an if. From here, we're going to create an open parentheses, and we're going to type our condition. And you can see that Flash gave us a hint of what we need to type. So the condition is if the down arrow key is pressed. How do I type that in? Well, we're going to type in key with a capital K dot is down. You'll also notice that it highlighted immediately here. I could just press enter and it will finish this section for me, but I'm going to go ahead and type it. But anytime you see this, feel free, if it's highlighting the correct item, you can either double click it or just press enter and it will finish that line. I'll do that later on, but for now I want to type it manually. So the way the key dot is down, the syntax for this line works is that I write key dot is down and then I create another open parentheses and type down the key code or the key. So the key that I want to look for that is being pressed is key with a capital K dot down with all capital letters. Again, it highlights. So I'm going to close the parentheses for the is down function here. So this closes this section here. And now I need to close this parentheses here. So I'm going to close that at the end. So we have two closed parentheses. I'm going to open a curly bracket, skip a line, and close the curly bracket. Notice that Flash automatically indented it for me. Whatever I type in here is the result. If this ever becomes true, it'll do whatever I have within the curly brackets for the if statement. And it's going to do this at 20 frames per second because it's within the onEnterFrame function that starts and ends here. So what are we going to tell it to do? Well, very simple. We're going to say underscore root dot link MC, let's go back here, link MC dot underscore y plus equals speed, semicolon. What I told Flash to do is to look on the stage for a movie clip called link MC, or an instance called link MC, and on the y-axis to add speed to its current y-axis location. Let's pause the video for a moment. Okay, I'm back. So we were talking about this line here. So it's going to move link down on the y-axis at the rate of speed, 20 frames per second. So let's try it out. I'm going to press Control Enter, and you can see link is standing still. When I press the down arrow key, he moves down. Now I'm unhappy with the frame rate because he's moving down too fast. So I'm going to go ahead and close this, change the speed, the value of speed to 5. That's the beauty of using a variable. I could have easily put in here 10, but down the road, if I have him going left, right, up, and down, as soon as I was to change the variable number, the value, it will change it for the rest of my code as well. So I don't have to change, you know, the value of how fast Link moves over and over and over. The other nice thing is, and maybe in your game you have some kind of speed power up, and by collecting the speed power up, you can say speed equals, you know, 20, and then all of a sudden the person moves a lot faster. So anyways, that's that, and let's try it again, and then we can see that, let's close this thing here, that Link should be moving slower. Okay, that's a little bit better. To move him left, right, up, and down, all I need to do is add some more code. At the end of the if statement, I'm going to type in else space if, open parentheses, and we're going to type in the following code. Key dot is down, open parentheses, key dot up. I'm going to close the parentheses here, open curly bracket, skip a line, close curly bracket. So now it's going to do this section here. Now I think I did something wrong, and I did do something wrong. I have a mistake here. I immediately knew I did something wrong because it indented this curly bracket way over here, which is abnormal. The reason this happened is I made a big mistake. My mistake was that I forgot to close one of the parentheses here. So let's go over here so you can see it. I have two parentheses that are opening, and I only closed one of them. I'm going to close the other one. Now open curly bracket, skip a line, close curly bracket, and everything's back to normal. I'm going to type in underscore root dot link mc dot underscore y minus equals speed, semicolon. What I didn't explain is why I'm putting plus and minus here. The way the stage works is this. Let's get out of this for a moment. Imagine that we have an x and y coordinate set up here. If this is going to be the bottom right coordinate. So it starts here at 0, and as I move to the right, it increases incrementally until it gets to 550 here, because that was the size of our stage. The y-axis works the same way. It starts at 0 here, and it moves down to 450 here. The only difference is that normally on a normal x and y axis with the bottom right coordinate, these would be negative values, but in Flash, these are positive values. So 0 to 550 and 0 to 450. So if I want Link to move up, I have to subtract from his current location so it gets closer and closer to 0 as he moves upward. So now if I run my game, he moves down and he moonwalks upward. The reason he doesn't face upward is because we have not programmed the computer to show him going upward. Well, how do we do that? Let's go ahead and access our actions again. Here we have to add a few lines within these statements. If I go within the if statement here for key dot is down, I have to add a line. I'm going to type in underscore root dot link mc dot go to and stop, open parentheses, quotation mark, link facing front, quotation mark, close parentheses, semicolon. If this looks familiar, it should. It's the same thing we typed up here. So every time I press the down arrow key, it's going to have Link face the front. I'm going to do the same thing by adding the line after line 9, right after this else statement here. I'm going to type the same thing, underscore root dot link mc dot go to and stop, open parenthesis, quotation mark, and instead of link facing front, we type in link. Oops, I just pressed the wrong button there. Sorry about that. So link facing back, quotation mark, close parentheses, semicolon. So now if I run my game, Link walks forward or backwards, and he's facing, we see his butt now, front and back. All right. So the last few things we have to do is left and right. I'm just going to type in else space if, open parentheses, key dot is down, open parentheses, key dot left, and that should be in all capital letters there, close parentheses, double, and open curly bracket, skip a line, close curly bracket. Go in there and we're going to type in underscore root dot link mc dot underscore x, and because he's moving to the left, which is closer to 0, we're going to say minus equals speed, semicolon, and also underscore root dot link mc dot go to, that should be a lowercase g, go to and stop, open parentheses, quotation mark, link facing left with a capital F and capital L, quotation mark, close parentheses, semicolon. Now he moves down, up, and left. For the last section, I'm going to save myself a lot of time. I'm going to highlight everything from this second to last curly bracket up until the else if, but not the first curly bracket here. Press Control C on your keyboard, go to the end of the curly bracket, press Control V. That will save me a lot of time. Instead of left, I'm going to put right. And instead of minus, I'm going to put plus. And instead of link facing left, I'm going to put link facing right. So you should have about 18 lines of code. The first few lines are just to have it do something right at the beginning of the movie. This is just for aesthetics. I skipped a line before I created the onEnterFrame function. We have onEnterFrame equals function, our if statements here, and this is where our onEnterFrame function ends. It's not a bad idea to put a semicolon after the end of your onEnterFrame function. And that's it. Let's try it out. Now we have link going left, right, up, and down. For the next part of this, we're going to have link stop. And we don't want him to move around when I'm not pressing the buttons. How do we do that? Just watch the next movie.